Hey guys, and welcome to part 4 of What If Goku Always Wore Weighted Clothing. Last time we left off with the gang encountering Yamcha the Desert Bandit. Goku wasn't at a disadvantage even with his immense hunger, thanks to him taking off his bands. We begin with Goku, Oolong, and Bulma, all relaxing inside of Oolong's bus eating dinner. Bulma spoke up. "This doesn't seem like much." Oolong responded, "What? Are you expecting something fit for royalty?" Goku rubbed his belly and said, "Ah, that hit the spot." Bulma then asked if Oolong had a bath, and Oolong pointed her to the direction of the bath. After verifying there are no peepholes, Bulma closes the door. Oolong then asks Goku, who was still sitting at the table, "So kid, why are we chasing down these orange ball things?" Goku grabbed his 4-star Dragon Ball out of his pouch and said, "You see? These things can grant wishes." Oolong stared in disbelief. "Hey kid, why don't we just take them all from the girl and wish for some guy things?" Goku tilted his head in confusion and asked, "Guy things?" Oolong nodded and said, "Oh yeah, like a harem, with 300 girls." Goku tilted his head once more and said, "Why would you want that many girls?" Oolong asked flatly, "You serious, kid?" Goku responded, "Yeah, imagine having to listen to 300 Bulmas." Suddenly, Goku is struck over the head by Bulma. "How dare you talk behind my back like that, Goku?" Bulma says. Goku began rubbing his head and said, "Oh no, never mind," Goku said. Bulma then asked Oolong, "Hey, do you have any pajamas?" Oolong said sarcastically, "Oh yeah, I totally have girl clothes." Bulma groaned and said, "What am I supposed to wear then?" Oolong said, "Not my problem." Oolong then made some juice for Bulma and Goku saying, "Here you go." Bulma said, "Thank you, see? You can be nice after all." Goku takes a sip of the orange-colored juice and says, "Ew, this stuff is yucky." Oolong then said, "Well, it's healthy, supposed to make you stronger?" Goku nods in understanding and then says, "Oh well, down the hatch." Goku then realized Oolong didn't have any after he finished his glass and said, "Aren't you going to have any, Oolong?" Oolong stuttered, but after composing himself said, "Oh, I had some already." Bulma then yawned, indicating she was tired. She then went up the stairs to get some sleep as Goku began to fall asleep sitting at the table. Oolong smiled deviously as he began going upstairs. Little did they know, Yamcha was waiting outside for them with Puar. Yamcha said, "Puar, did you hear that? I was originally just going to take their stuff. Get my revenge, you know. But hearing about Dragon Balls has me all fevered up. I can finally wish away my fear of women." Ha 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 ha. Puar happily chimed in with, "Isn't it great, Master? Soon nothing will stop you." Yamcha agreed, then said, "Alrighty, let's ensure that they're asleep, my fuzzy little friend." Yamcha picked the lock on the bus and slowly entered. Scanning his surroundings, he notices Goku asleep, wearing the bands he had taken off during their fight. Yamcha whispers to Puar, "Hey, it looks like the rest of them are upstairs. Transform into this kid and lure them outside." Puar said, "Right," as he transformed into Goku. The transformation looked rather silly, though, as the eyes and the hair weren't right. Eventually, Puar transformed as Goku headed up the stairs as Yamcha held the sleeping Goku out of sight. Oolong was just about to peel back the covers on Bulma's bed when he heard a noise coming from downstairs and freaked out. Seeing Goku come up the stairs, he quickly transformed into Bulma. His form of her looked short and fat, but it would have to do. Puar disguised as Goku saw Bulma and asked, "Hey, where's Oolong?" Oolong disguised as Bulma said, "Oh, he went for a walk, I thought." Hey. Puar disguised as Goku had then said, "Well, come outside real quick. There is something that I would like to show you." Oolong disguised as Bulma reluctantly went along with Puar disguised as Goku. Once they left the bus, Yamcha made his move and went upstairs looking for the Dragon Balls. Outside, Puar disguised as Goku dropped the disguise and said, "Aha, tricked you." Oolong disguised as Bulma said, "What?" Puar then said, "Yep, we're here to steal your stuff." Oolong disguised as Bulma dropped his transformation and said, "How's that working out for you?" Puar screamed. Meanwhile, Yamcha saw a blanket covering a bed and pulled off the blankets to reveal Bulma sleeping without a change of clothes. He screamed in a panic and freaked out seeing a woman, especially in such a state as that. Puar outside yelled out, "Oh no, master!" as he flew over to help. Yamcha and Puar quickly made their escape. Morning came, and Oolong was sitting in the driver's seat with a weapon. Goku said, "Good morning, Oolong." Oolong said, "Easy for you to say. I had to fend off Yamcha and Puar again." Goku said, "Yamcha and Puar came back? Are they still here? I've been itching to fight them since our last fight." Oolong said, "Calm down, will you? I swear, you've got a fist where your brain ought to be." Bulma came down the stairs and asked, "Did you say Yamcha was here? That handsome desert bandit?" Oolong nodded and said, "Also, there's an outfit upstairs, come to think of it." Bulma retorted with, "I thought you said you didn't have any." Oolong said, "Well, I just didn't think you'd like it is all." Bulma grumbled as she went upstairs to put it on. Oolong then went over to brush his teeth and told Goku, "You know, 300 girls might be just a few too many, kid. You were right." Goku laughed and said, "You see?" Bulma then came out wearing a bunny girl costume. She said, "Are you kidding me? These aren't clothes. This is a costume, and I look ridiculous in it, Oolong." Oolong then said dismissively, "Sorry, that's all I have." They finished eating breakfast, and Oolong once again took the wheel to drive the bus. Bulma was putting on her makeup when she said, "Tell me if you see Yamcha." Oolong snorted and sarcastically said, "Yeah, sure. I'll keep my fingers crossed." Suddenly, Goku points out the driver's side window and asks, "Is that him?" Sure enough, Yamcha was back, on a motorcycle holding a rocket launcher. Bulma, oblivious to the dangers that Yamcha is posing on them, gawks at him, calling him a hunk. Yamcha fires a rocket at their bus, causing it to minorly explode and break down in the middle of the desert. Goku gets off the bus and says, "Ready for round 2?" Oolong said, "Be careful, kid." Yamcha puts his rocket launcher aside and says, "I will win this time and take the Dragon Balls." Oolong asks Goku, "Wait, how does he know about the Dragon Balls?" Goku shrugs, but then gets in a fighting stance. Yamcha then charges at Goku and yells out, "Wolf Fang Fist." He lands a few hits on Goku, but Goku manages to block the second part of Yamcha's attack. Yamcha jumped back surprised and said, "No one has managed to guard against my Wolf Fang Fist. What's going on here?" Goku laughed and said, "We fought when my stomach was empty, but now my stomach is full." Goku then ran up and punched Yamcha in the face a couple of times before Yamcha fell backward. Yamcha quickly got up and his cheek was red. Puar screamed and said, "Master, your tooth!" Puar then transformed into a mirror and showed Yamcha that a tooth of his was chipped. Yamcha screamed out, "Ah, how will I ever get girls now?" Yamcha, in a panic, quickly got on his motorcycle and drove away with Puar in tow. Goku and Oolong got off of their bus. Goku picked up Bulma, who had been knocked unconscious from the blast, and began carrying her to their next destination. After a bit, Yamcha had arrived back and said, "Hey!" Oolong said, "Oh no, not him again." Yamcha then said, Hey, take this dino capsule. It was a fair fight. I just want us to get along. Sounds good?" Oolong scoffed and said, "Sounds like bologna." Goku nods and says, "Thank you." Yamcha and Puar drove off, leaving Goku with a car and a dino capsule. Goku throws the capsule and opens it, causing a red car to appear. Oolong said, "Check it for explosives." Goku said, "I trust him." I think he finally decided to turn good. Oolong said, "It doesn't work like that, kid. Believe me." Eventually, the gang gets all settled into the car, and Oolong begins driving through the desert again. Thank you guys for watching. Part 4 of What If Goku Always Wore Weighted Clothing. Changes in this one were that Goku obviously overwhelmed Yamcha, quickly putting an end to him. He managed to block Yamcha's Wolf Fang Fist. His power level is easily over twice as high as his without the bands, but with the bands on, he is still plenty strong enough to handle him on his own. Next part, we will see our crew take on the Ox King and Fire Mountain. Please write down in the comments what you'd like to see next, and I will see you in the next one. See ya!